the courthouses. Sell the judges' gavels. Throw away the briefcases. We have no need for any of that stuff anymore.
The American legal system has moved on to Substack? Well, that seems to be what notorious crypto genius SBF believes. I'm Josh Sanford, I'm America's attorney, and SBF's latest defense move has presented the opportunity for me to give you a very important lesson for free. Now make sure you lawyer up by subscribing to this channel to keep learning the rules of the game. And if you haven't read the Substack newsletter, I don't blame you. It's long, it's filled with words like insolvent, hedges, illiquidity. Look, here's the breakdown. On January 12th, SBF took to the newsletter platform Substack to publish a lengthy explanation of his version of what took place with FTX's downfall. He provides graphs and charts and external links that all lead to his predetermined stance that no money was stolen. The market crash led to the lost funds. So how does this Substack post affect his trial? Let me begin with a quote.
Mama and Papa Snay won the case against Gulliver. Gulliver is now officially paying for my vacation to Europe this summer. Suck it!
Yep, I just quoted from a Facebook post from early 2012 from the daughter of a man who settled an age discrimination case against the Gulliver School District. People, that post cost
Papa Snay
over half of his settlement. And if you think that Gulliver's Travel School District attorneys are aggressive as the US attorneys in the Southern District of New York, you are not too swift. Pause for acknowledgement of wordplay. Anyone? Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travels? Anyone? You got any ninth graders in the house? The Southern District of New York is actually famous for being aggressive and dangerous to criminals. They will dismantle this post. Wait, what? There's more than one post. You're telling me that he's basically blogging? What? I can't do this. I cannot do this. Look, in the Gulliver case, the plaintiff lost $80,000 because of his daughter's Facebook post. Like many cases, it was settled subject to a confidentiality agreement, but his daughter breached the agreement and $80,000 was the liquidated damages provision. Now, $80,000 is so little money in the SBF criminal case that it's basically like a rounding error. There's almost $2 billion that he's charged with lending to Alameda Capital. And yes, I use the air quotes in the exact same way that the prosecutor will use them in the trial because he lended money from the customers of FTX to a separate company called Alameda. Oh man, this is going so bad. Now, I've previously said that SBF is legally dead. I thought the cause of death would be the fact that his two lieutenants turned on him. Maybe the cause of death is self-inflicted wounds? Dude. We could basically just add like 5 years to his criminal sentence for each Substack post. So I've read his Substack post, and I feel like I have to tell you what I see, not as somebody who does criminal defense, because I don't, or someone who really understands the ins and outs of crypto, because that's not my thing. He goes on Substack and he immediately demonizes a law firm called Sullivan and Cromwell. Now, these are bigwigs. Everybody knows their name. I mean, not everybody, because at one point he calls them Sullivan and Crowell, but I'm pretty sure he means Cromwell. But maybe you don't know their name, but they're pretty famous among people who, you know, get charged with crimes that have billions involved in them. And he actually goes into that in another public forum, and I'll get into that in a minute. But here's what I want to say. In his Substack post, he says Sullivan and Cromwell, I'm going to call him S&C. He calls them S&C, I'm going to call him S&C. S&C are the bad guys. They basically talked him into filing bankruptcy. And if he didn't file bankruptcy, then he would have been able to right the ship. His post has a very like Donald Trumpian vibe to it. Like,
I alone can fix this.
It really does sound like he's saying, like, if they had only let me stay there, I could have fixed the problem. He says that the value of assets crashed. It's the lawyer shouldn't have talked him into doing a bankruptcy petition. And there's this CEO of a company called Binance, and the CEO is nicknamed CZ for short, and that CZ tanked a currency, a cryptocurrency, that Alameda was heavily invested in, and that caused a run on the bank, which which eventually affected FTX. Now, there's several different FTX entities, and Alameda is a separate entity, and it actually is all kind of complicated. And I'm telling you that any competent criminal attorney, or really a civil attorney, everyone's gonna tell him,
Shut up.
and here's why. We don't try cases in the media. He is not on trial for being a good guy or a bad guy. If he wins community support here, out here, in the real world, you know, Substack is the real world, it's not gonna help him in trial. It's actually not gonna help him at all. Now, one of the things that he does in his Substack post is he refers back to his congressional testimony, which if you're a fan of the SBF channel, you know he did not actually give his testimony. Do you remember why? Oh yes, he was arrested the night before he was to testify to Congress. However, his preliminary testimony was written. It was more of an outline and less of a narrative like the Substack post is. But here's the thing. In his congressional testimony, he goes after the S&C lawyers. And he tells this story where he draws parallels between a prior bankruptcy that involved S&C and his company's bankruptcy, which now also involves S&C. He's saying this situation here at FTX is similar to this other situation. So you're like, oh, well, this guy is a crypto genius, so I'm sure this analogy that he's created is gonna make things look really good for his company. Who is the analogous situation? It's Enron. He's literally saying you can understand the FTX situation by understanding the Enron situation. Go. I need an aspirin. Someone just punch me in the face. Punch me in the face. I cannot believe he was preparing to sit down in front of Congress and say, this is kind of like Enron. Oy. I don't know how much his personal lawyers are getting paid to defend him in these criminal charges. They're very serious charges. His total time that he could go to prison for is 115 years. Seems like a big deal to me. I bet he's paying his lawyers a lot. I also bet they are not charging enough because he's making their job harder. Look, maybe every single thing in his Substack post is true. Maybe it is. I mean, I doubt it, but let's just say it is for a second. What does it mean? Well, listen, in civil cases, you can't put your case on with surprise, okay? The parties do discovery. The plaintiff knows the evidence the defendant has. The defendant has to share evidence with the plaintiff, which is what I just said. The plaintiff has to share evidence with the defendant. Everybody knows what kind of case is being put on at trial in a civil case. Criminal cases are not exactly the same. In that, the prosecutor can have hints about what sort of defense is going to be put on by the nature of the witnesses that are on the witness list or the exhibits. But in a criminal case, the prosecutor is not actually going to know the theme or the scapegoat that the defendant is going to offer up to be blamed for the missing money. Now, my problem with this is that he's laying out a competent defense, actually a couple of competent defenses in the Substack post, which means the prosecutor is gonna have months to prepare for it. I mean, not a theoretical defense. They're preparing for the actual defense that he's actually laid out, which is the lawyers are the bad guys, they're on the take, they're trying to make this happen. There's liquidity problems at Alameda and liquidity problems at one of the FTX entities, and there's really no missing money. Now, when you go to the public and you make this case, you put this all on, you spell out for the US attorneys. Remember, I called them aggressive and dangerous to criminals? These are not the Gulliver School District attorneys. This is the Southern District of New York. They don't play around. You lay out for them exactly what they need to prove to show that your version of your defense is a joke. Now, you may think he's innocent. Everything he's saying is true. You actually think that? Look, he's climbing up a hill because his 2 lieutenants have turned on him. So I don't like his chances very much. But the reality is, if he has a good defense, he can't tell the prosecutor what it is in the months leading up to trial. It serves him no purpose. It's almost like he thinks if he talks about what a great guy he is and how he's good at running business and all that, he's gonna get more investors or he's gonna be reinstalled in some management position. He's not on trial in the court of public opinion. He's going on trial in criminal court. So what can we collectively, as a community, learn from this? I'm gonna say this simply. Don't post about your case on social media. Actually, I wanna say that with a megaphone in your face.
Don't post about your case on social media.
I mean, this is always true, period. Full stop. I'm basically freaking out. Here's why I'm freaking out. You're saying stuff to opposing counsel that you don't need to say. You're helping them get ready, okay? You're cornering your lawyer's ability to make the best case at trial. Because if you say things in these public statements that your lawyers can't back up in court, it's gonna look like you either lied or you're an idiot. And neither one of those is a great spot to be in. On top of that, you don't really know what doors you could be opening for your opponent. It's just like, I mean, really, you know, there's such a thing as Miranda rights, and they apply to rich people as well. SBF, shut it up. Now, I know that SBF's lawyers are really mad right now. There's no way that they approved of his posts, and who knows how it's gonna affect their defense strategy, but it will not help it. Anything that he wants to tell them, he should do it privately, in attorney-client privilege. Let them decide if it works as a strategy. Here's one thing that I can definitely guarantee you. The prosecutor in the SBF case will use the Substack post to his or her advantage in evidence to the maximum extent possible. Don't give them an advantage. Why does he want to give them an advantage? No, like I'm actually, you guys see this, right? He's just giving the prosecutor an advantage. Why would he do that? Why? Actually, I take it all back. SBF's lawyers, they love the post. Let me explain. He's let them off the hook, for real. When the hammer gets dropped on him at trial, the lawyers can just sit back, point to the post and say,
"You put yourself in jail when you made this post. We told you about the Fifth Amendment, but you just had to incriminate yourself. So yeah, anyways, thanks for the $500,000 a week you paid us for defending you, and see you in a couple decades."
You get it? Do you? Don't ever post about a lawsuit on social media. Don't ever post about a lawsuit on social media. Don't do it. If you don't live your life in a courtroom, it's very easy to fail to recognize just how forensic and technical and surgical the legal system can be. Trials are not about public opinion. You're thinking about politics. The courtroom is about evidence. Therefore, it's always good to keep in mind that everything that you say can and will be used against you, say it with me, in the court of law. It just will. SBF claims that this newsletter was just the start of his public defense and explanation of the events that happened in 2022. So it seems like we are in for more of the Substack defense strategy. And maybe Volume 3 will contain case-changing information. Maybe he'll say something that actually helps. But for now, these newsletters are not enough to counteract the fact that Caroline Ellison and Gary Wong have already pled guilty and are cooperating with the prosecution. It's now time for your pro se opinion. Do SBF's Substack posts give enough information to exonerate him? What are the chances that he does this in the future with more Substack posts? Let me know down below in the comments. Now, you know, if you made it this far in the video, you know we have something special going on this channel. And if you have not yet already subscribed, you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror because you belong here on this channel with us. Now, if you like this video, make sure that you check out my explanation of why SBF's case is pretty much dead in the water. And hey, crypto scams are popular these days. Check out my analysis of the Logan Paul lawsuit for his game CryptoZoo. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again very soon.